Hey guys, I'm Denai. I'm a therapist in Los Angeles, and I have become increasingly more interested lately in creating some dialogue around the topic of divorce and uncoupling, and possibly reframing how we hold um, just the ending of relationships in general in our culture. And here's why. I don't know what's going on, what's in the water this year, or, maybe if it's just really alive for so many of my clients. I work with a lot of couples and individuals who are sort of struggling with this idea of letting go of a relationship that they have known for a really long time is not serving them, is not honest to what their authentic truth is, the way they want to live out the rest of their life. And I've noticed how much fear there is around letting go of a marriage and something that isn't working. And, one of my clients said to me a couple months ago something I thought was so profound. And that was that we as a culture are more comfortable with people when they are partnered than when they are not. And, I thought about that so much and how much that is true. When someone is alone, we sort of hold out hope for them that eventually they will find their person. We just sort of think about connection in terms of being partnered with one other person versus an entire community of people that you might find fellowship with, that you might find fulfillment and connection with. And I think that oftentimes we are doing a disservice to ourselves and to the collective at large by sort of holding that, we should all be coupled, that if you become uncoupled or the relationship that you are in is no longer serving your highest good, that somehow that means that you have failed, somehow that means that this is just like a terrible thing that you're going through, that is going to be something that you have to overcome. It's like a tragic thing. I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. And I think that I am experiencing this on a personal level and really interested in challenging the idea of how we hold marriages, relationships coming to an end. I've been separated from my husband for 6 months now. And, what's been so interesting is that the two of us were in a relationship for 14 years and made the decision together that we really just felt like what we had was a deep respect and friendship for one another, but that in terms of fulfillment, in terms of what each of us wanted out of this life, in terms of being with another person, we weren't really filling that for one another. And I think what has been the most difficult about the process of being uncoupled and letting go of that relationship, frankly, is other people's experience of letting go of our relationship. So, our family's reactions to us letting go, just the way that other people almost want you to be, devastated when you are in the experience of something that really actually doesn't feel necessarily like devastation. In so many ways, for both of us, it has felt like a deep liberation. And not only that, but like this unbelievable opportunity and even catalyst, I would say, to do some deep inner work, understanding who I want to be in this life as a single person, understanding how I was maybe in a relationship for so long that didn't feel like my authentic truth, and maybe how we get in these relationships to begin with. I think I can speak for myself in saying that so much of my decision to become coupled and to get married really had less to do with me and sort of an authentic desire and what felt like I wanted out of my life, and more to do with a certain pressure that I felt, especially as a woman of a certain age, and what it would mean for me if I remained single, the way that that was sort of held in my family, and the way that I knew that society as a whole would hold me as a single woman. And I think that sometimes we can hide in relationships knowing that at least I have fulfilled, a certain societal expectation of me and what I'm supposed to accomplish in this life. Like somehow just being with another person should be enough, should be fulfilling. And I think that there can often be a deep sense of anxiety or like something that is missing when we have sort of bought into this societal narrative that just being in a couple should be enough for you, but the felt reality of it is something different. And I think that it is there's some power in having some conversations around what else might be true about this. What else might be true other than just that we are all supposed to be coupled, and that if somehow we find ourselves uncoupled, which, as we know, obviously 50% of marriages end in divorce. So the statistical likelihood that you will be on the side of the person who becomes uncoupled is pretty high. So how can we maybe change the narrative a little bit? How can we hold this differently? My husband and I, who are separated, have a child together. And I think, what our priority has been is how can we continue love in a different form, right? Like how can we think of this as an evolution of our relationship versus something that is a devastation? How can we continue love in friendship versus something that isn't true? Like, what do we want to teach our son about love and all of the different forms that it can take? Yeah. So I just have so many clients that I feel like stay in a place of, really feeling unhappy and stuck and in fear about what it will look like to be alone. And I think if we have conversations that challenge the narrative that being alone has to mean that somehow there's something wrong with you, or that you need to be alone until you find this other person to fulfill that other half of you. Like, how can we hold ourselves in a space of wholeness even outside of a relationship? I think it's an important conversation to start having, and I just feel really interested in starting to have it.